let's jump into it. So, where we at? 12 o'clock. So, I just got DXY coming on board now. A little bit of a gap down, seeing a nice sort of break in metals and continued sort of recovery. Just quickly sort of cover what happened yesterday. Supposedly, there was some sort of liquidity, some supply issues across the board, yada yada. This little move down here is something that I've actually never seen in the market. Once I've seen it, going way back, this is the last time we sort of saw this kind of action. This move here, I think it was this one. Yeah, it was this one here. Um, this moved like opened up 75 up to 146. This moved like so what 60, 70 bucks or something just off open. Went up like this, 78 bucks. This happened in like 15 minutes. Start of our Asia session, as you can see, it was on a Monday here. And this is why I can pick it out straight away, because I remember because it was quite a significant moment because it just flew. It was 75 bucks or so in 15 minutes. Spreads went ridiculous. Spreads went to 5 bucks for gold. Go back onto where we are now. This is what we saw yesterday. And this just goes to show that this thing can be absolutely screwed anyway. This pullback through here, like it was a bit of a move back, but I mean, obviously, you can see it's not as fast, but it was mainly just this part of the move down here. 22 bucks over, a couple of hours. The spreads were sitting at six bucks for gold. Silver was pushed out to like 20 or something like that. So I think it was 20, some ridiculous amount, untradeable amounts. And not only untradeable amounts, but as you can see, you drop down here because the spreads were so low, so large. Anybody that was in this, even if you had a decent sort of bit of a sort of swing way, like, try and trail under your lows and all these kind of things, came down here and they said it was a liquidity issue. Well, here's the liquidity that you found. Um, Probably the retail sector grabbed that liquidity and then back up here and all of a sudden, what a surprise, it's back to normal and there's the continuation move up to the top side here. So anyway, that's just a little bit of a bitch and moan about that. We are seeing it push through the bounce highs from that really big sort of sell down that we had sort of through October. And this is quite significant because, as I've been sort of saying, there's these two head and shoulder playouts, and we've been sitting right in the middle of each of the head and shoulders. You've got the inverted head and shoulders right in the middle of that right shoulder. If you're looking bearish, there's the right shoulder in the middle, boom, and obviously the bulls have sort of kind of prevailed a little bit sort of through this period. We are sort of back up into this sort of stronger area, so let's jump back onto this other chart that we use. This area is quite vital because obviously sort of up in this 24 area, we've got these ones marked out. These are another sort of little drop down, not as significant as the support areas here, but certainly on the way down, we saw some strong reactions from these levels on that last little push up to the top side as it was coming down, sort of clipped down here. And then obviously eventually once it sort of gave way to this level here, it just really didn't look back. Same with this sort of, horizontal through the zone here. So this is a little bit of a sort of a tricky area, but certainly looking productive, constructive. We broke through this falling resistance, as you can see. It was used a couple of times here. So let's get back onto these ones that we use. Boom, it's on here. You can see pretty much as we expected, there was a pushback as it came into contact here. The second break through this level, and this is what I say with these things as well. You expect when you hit these resistance levels that, you're going to see a reaction. And we did. And this is why we marked it out. The second push through that, particularly when it comes through in a sort of, quick succession, that's generally looking quite constructive and positive. And that's important because, as you can see, I mean, this was just setting up this line here. But as you can see, boom, all the way back down over here, there's a good chance that this could also just go. And if had it gone sort of back down here, this line would still be credible, but you'd be dragging it out over here. You'd be looking for the swings, and then it'd be coming back down here to then reattack it sort of back at sort of 26.20s or so. Obviously, it's sort of consolidated near it and then punched through. That little liquidity, whatever, issue yesterday, very good for a back test of the spike highs there, and also back test of this falling resistance. Obviously, as I just covered a second ago, that it shook that off quite quickly and bang on its way up over here. So look, we're coming back up into a very sticky area. Look, there was a bit of sort of support for this on the way up. So it's going to be a little bit of resistance. You're bound to see a little bit of something coming through here. Though, if it can sort of maintain, doesn't have to necessarily hold it at these highs. I mean, obviously, better holding it higher, better. But as long as it can sort of, consolidate around this area over here, that gives enough enough of sort of exchange that you could sort of possibly see this do its next leg. It's looking a little bit overbought on the 4 hour, but not impossible. The daily's looking a lot better. Obviously, sort of, it was sitting around that 50, and this perfectly shows the indecision of the market here. Just sitting around that 50 line on the RSI, we've started to break higher. RSI is supporting it, and should this sort of push up here a little bit more, we're probably looking at sort of 27.46 as your next sort of level there. And then really above that, you're looking for a move towards sort of retesting all-time highs and potential for a breakout. I think the measured move comes, I know the measured move comes to 2,900 of that inverted head and shoulders. So they're the levels we're kind of looking for now. Everything's pointing to the idea that we see a little bit of a continuation, but as I said, we are in a resistance area. So you could expect to see people sort of go, yep, okay, that's it for me. It was a nice break, move up through here. I mean, we've gone from 27 up to, we've done $100 move just from this break up the top over here. Interesting thing with gold, as I've pointed out a number of times, consolidation comes down here, whips out all these wicks. I'm surprised it didn't actually come below 2909, but took out all these wicks through this area, except for this one, which was this little overextension down here. And then bang, it moves up to the top side. And this is important to know with gold, because this is not a sort of, oh, wow, why did it do that? If you look at gold, if you study gold, if you trade gold a lot, you know that this is how it reacts a lot of the time. It'll do these, particularly out of consolidation areas, it'll fake down, fake up, depending which direction you're moving, and then it'll explode up in the other direction. So it's looking constructive at the moment. I think have we got a bottom wick? Very, very tiny sort of bottom wick down here. So I'd expect this probably to just sort of consolidate this zone a little bit. If we can, stay above, obviously sort of back down here, 76, which is a $50 drop off. If you get a big bearish candle here, then you're looking at a bit of a double top through this zone. Still don't think it's impossible to sort of see this sort of move up to the top side. It's just obviously, it just makes it obviously a little bit more difficult because some people are selling off, but you're seeing a little bit of people go, look, this is the area in which we want to sort of keep it below. But at the moment, I would say this is just a little bit of a sort of pushback on open. We probably look for a continuation through the rest of the session. DXY gap down, continuing to sell down a little bit. That's a good segue. Let's move on to DXY. This is, as I've said a number of times, very typical of DXY with its turnarounds. Look at these last previous. I keep doing this every single time, and that you're coming down, bang. This area through here, they just came out with some miraculous numbers. Like the whole market is seeing this sell down. Oh, it's on the lows, double bottom here. Well, no double bottom. This one's about to, careen, move right down through this area here. But lo and behold, they came out with 300,000 jobs, which was later corrected to some number that was obviously a lot less than that, and we saw the subsequent sell-off. So this is the thing. It's Fed numbers are very, take it with a grain of salt. Like people are sort of going on about how sort of untrustworthy the Chinese are, and they are in terms of the data. Their numbers are really shocking. And unreliable, and what they say the market doesn't believe, it'll react, but then it doesn't actually follow through, yada yada. I mean, last night we had a report from Reuters, and this brings me to this point because it goes with the Chinese data and also, well, the yuan, and also with the US. That look at these sort of things here. We're coming down, bang, fires up, coming down, lower low, bang, fires up, coming down again, bang, right up to the top. So it's not a shocker that DXY, for some reason, as this is coming down, bangs back up, coming down here. Oh, and this was a NFP, was it? Yeah, NFP last week. And then, they've decided that's pretty good. Then off the top, blows up here and that's, you know what I mean? The news from, what was it? The news from Reuters that, the Chinese are expected, or no, they're thinking about. That's the thing. It's not like something's happened. It's a news report that the Chinese are thinking about letting the yuan weaken in 2025. I mean, come on. I was watching something the other day, and the guy was sort of going on about this, and he was saying that, back when Trump was first in, they let the yuan go 11%, which I covered the other day, and is a massive move. 11%. So it's not like, oh, what? They're going to weaken this thing. Well, I mean, they did last time. So yeah, it's not sort of a shock that they may consider doing that. But they haven't. But the market doesn't care about that. The market goes, oh, headline, headline. That's justification. Bang, fires up to the top side. We had CPI come in last night for US as well. That came in pretty much in line with what their expectations were. And with that, the market sort of initially sold off, but as you can see, grinded higher until it's sell down into the end of the session. And this has been a bit of a theme with the US dollar, particularly this week, that we've been seeing these little sell-offs and then bang, fires back up. Little sell-offs, bang, fires back up. It's generally coming around the sort of the tail end of Asia session. So we see US dollar sell down into US close. So, I can't see the numbers there in that one. But you see this the US sort of sell down into the end of the US close, sells down through Asia, fires up into Europe, and fires up again. So the question is, when do they sort of catch people off guard and sort of say, hey, you know what, we've sort of sold it down now. You all think we're just going to buy it up again, and then they sell it down even further. The double blow to the downside because I mean, the question is now, are the Fed going to cut? And it's 25 base point or a hold. 50 base points out the window. We saw Bank of Canada cut 50% yesterday. So, like, those cuts are coming. Obviously, the Fed did a 50% base cut. But so I think at the moment, with such strong economic data, they're sort of saying, okay, 25 base point or hold. They're the sort of ones that they're looking at. So, to say it's going to manage a position. So yeah, so next week I think it's the Wednesday. I'll be overseas at this stage. I'll be in LA, so it's 11 o'clock instead of 5 a.m. or whatever time it is normally back in Melbourne. So we'll see how that sort of plays out. But yeah, certainly it's just refusing to sort of die here at the moment. We are seeing cracks, but obviously technically it's sort of like as it breaks down lower, then comes up, breaks out, and takes out those highs over here as well. If this were to be a little bit of a sort of channel through this area here, no, I can't really line that up with anything. If anything, it's a bit more of a sort of wedge through this period here. And regardless of which one you're looking at, it is breaking this little support through here. So work to be done for sure. But yeah, let's just sort of see what they do, sort of if they just sort of follow that same price action sort of that we've seen through this week, which is basically a bit of a sell down through Asia, and then they just ram it back up higher into sort of Europe and US sessions before settling it down at the end of the US session. I don't think we've got much data in that actually. No, not US data. No, not really. We got the ECB tonight. PPIs, okay, looking pretty flat. A little bit of a slowdown. I mean, and just a tick on the core. So I would say this would probably sort of be fairly neutral in that, possibly a little bit dollar weakish if we do see this come in. And not really much through the end of the week. Yeah, so I think sort of this level over here, 106.34, which actually I was looking yesterday because it reacted very strongly off this level here. We could see it's pretty much in line with where we had this little zone through here. This actually, if you take it back, is the candle wick highs from earlier this year. So this zone through here. Let's put a little, move it up and down, puts the alarm back on it. So this area here is an area that we've had sort of marked out for a long time. And yeah, as I said, if we go back to where we are right now, geez, how far away were we? Oh, here we are. Yeah, this is an area that obviously, as you can see, probably on the lower time frame, has sort of held a support. I think I'd say down underneath this area here, if we see this not hold, that'll be the area that we see this sort of continue down a little bit further. A little bit of a gap down here on open. So let's see if they sort of decide to close that before running it down. Flip onto Aussie. We just had a bit of data out. Obviously, the Aussie liked this one. I got clipped out yesterday on, and this is the thing. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased because I'm frustrated about that sort of data coming out. Like Aussie continues to be bashed. Yes, yeah, we sort of we hold a candle for it with this little wedge. We see it take out low wicks from August, wicks from April, back down to sort of where we saw a little bit of a bounce back in November. So we're talking 13-month lows here on Aussie, and it has just been an absolute bloodbath from the highs up over here. And yeah, it got clipped out at the bottom there, just on that very last little bit of news coming out from Reuters. So it wasn't even from the PBOC. It was just a Reuters saying, hey, you know what, they're thinking about sort of weakening. And look, I mean, it stands to reason that yes, that is a thing. But one, it's not a shocking bit of news because it's what they've done in the past. Two, the tariffs are coming, and three, it's just speculative, and it's not sort of they haven't actually done it. So let's see if this move, little recovery move, can sort of hold with Aussie. We're coming off of wiping out a whole bunch of people, myself included. I do have other positions in that, so it wasn't like a full sort of takeout, but it was a heavy hit. So quite frustrating. But we do have the bottom side of this wedge still playing. The top side here is still valid as an area that we can use for confirmation. We had a bit of data out just before. So there's the thing. Aussie has just been failing on a number of fronts and that. Like we were held up, and this is what I was saying the other day. I would say probably a little bit mispriced, based on, as you can see, we were holding through this area through here. This was based on the idea that we still had the hawkish central bank. We, potentially had cut sort of hikes. I don't think they're actually ever on the table, but the language they used kept it in part of the conversation. Then we had a series of unfortunate events with weak GDP smacking it down. We had China stimulus, 2 seconds of relief before it got smacked down again. And then we had the China sort of, hey, you know what, we might sort of actually weaken our yuan. We're not doing it yet, but we may. Market freaks out, bang, smacks down here. Anyway, gets us to this point here. So we just had sort of data out 2 seconds ago. What, 2 seconds ago? 40, 50 minutes ago, something like this. Where we at? Refresh this. And as you can see, the typical thing that they do, they spam the 20,000s. I cover this every. Wait, oh, not this one, huh? 20,000, just spam it every week. Doesn't matter. Chuck it in the middle, chuck it down the bottom. Doesn't matter. It's 20,000 every month. You have these other bits of data where 50 is the benchmark. Away from 50, like above, is sort of expansion. The further away is the stronger. This is just like this. It's sort of like, 20,000 is the benchmark. Further away from that, boom, okay, a little bit more bullish. This is better than expected. That's fine. But I think the more important number of the two is this one, the unemployment number. As you can see, 4.1 is a sticking point. They expected it to go up. It's been 4.1 for a while. Sitting around this 4.2, 4.1, 4.1. You know what I mean? It's been in this realm for quite a while. This is only going back 5 months here. Yeah, so going back, I mean 3.9 back in May, but ever since then, it's been in that 4.1, ticked up to 4.2, come down, come down. Coming in at 3.9 is not conducive for a necessity to cut rates. You know what I mean? If unemployment's going up, well, things are struggling, people are tough, let's help them out, let's cut the rates. Moving down, well, unemployment, like sorry, I just had a couple of thoughts at once of that. It's almost, you know what I mean, like people sort of bitch and moan and shit about it, but they're like, you know, this is what they want to see unemployment go up. Well, it's like, yes, like, you know what I mean? They want to see it go up, so it shows that the economy's struggling. So they need to help it out by cutting rates. If it's going down, they don't need, it takes away a tick in that column for they need a helping hand. Weak GDP, that was obviously a big impactful one because that shows slowdown. But these numbers here are, you know, you're going to start to see headlines and people start talking about a very strong, resilient employment sort of sector. And this is not sort of conducive for cutting. And this is why this is the reaction that we've had. And it's punched up here. Question now is it, excuse me, question now is it, can it hold it? It's holding it sort of for at least half an hour so far. DXY continues to sort of push down. So it's got the RSI, this is on the 4 hour, it's got the RSI tipping up off of the oversold. It's come off this thing, it's wiped out a whole bunch of people, sucked in a whole bunch more. Everyone's talking about finding the liquidity. Well, there's the liquidity. Grabbed in a whole bunch of people, broke all these major levels. Maybe it's time for a squeeze. I feel like I'm bashing my head against the wall here, but you know what I mean? This is what happens when you get ripped out. They send it back up the other way. And, you know, we are seeing this move up a little bit here. The daily, still putting in a negative divergence. This is why I've sort of held on to these things. Like a lot of people have been trying to sort of correct me and tell me, oh, no, it's this, it's that. Negative divergence into the sort of support area. Yes, it's continued further than I thought. But, you know, there are technical reasons. Now we just had a bit of data out that is finally at least something in its favor for a fundamental reason. If it gets above this falling resistance, it's got work to do because it's got these swing highs. It's got work to do because it's got the pump highs. I'm not saying necessarily this means it comes up over here, but this is certainly a possibility. Let's see. We'll see how it goes. But negative divergence on the daily into the support zones. The last hurrah for the Aussie. If this fails here, you're looking, you know, pretty shoddy kind of place for Aussie to be. But at the moment, there's a couple of things lining up for this for a bit of a turnaround. So let's see if this continues. Silver did a nice little back test yesterday on that breakout zone. Fired back up into it. Didn't quite actually make the new high, so it's still finding a little bit of resistance through this area. But that's okay. I mean, we've seen this a number of times. And, you know, a couple of wicks up around here, but it keeps pushing its head into it. So, you know, once it does pop through here, price target definitely, I think, is, you know, within reach, 33 or 32.80 to 33, this price target. This falling resistance might offer a little bit of a headbutt. I don't know, resistance. I'm trying to think of another word. I think falling resistance may offer some resistance. Yeah, well, no shit. Look, a little bit overbought, so we're probably getting a little bit closer to the end of it. It is looking like it's thinking about it a bit here. What's the weekly look like? Weekly looks strong. If we chuck onto this other weekly, this is the big one that we were looking for, the breakthrough here. So if you get the close up above this zone over here, I think that's the confirmation. As you can see, RSI is right on the edge. It wants to sort of tip. So you give it a strong close. Say you hit your price target, your short-term price target at the double bottom down here, which is 32.80 to 33. I would say that'll give RSI a little bit of a tick up. It'll look bullish. I think then we're going to see a nice move of metals into the end of the year. That's on a stronger close. So where are we at? Thursday midday at the moment. So you know it's got 48 hours to hold and try and push up a little bit further. See how that one goes. If we get onto the lower time frames. Was this the area? Yeah, so this is the area here. So 3150 is what we've been touting as the back test. Sorry, the breakout. Came back here, right on the money pretty much at 2 cents or something, and then boom, shot back into it. Short term is still obviously finding a little bit of resistance around this area here, as I just showed a second ago. You can see there is a little bit of indecision, but this is, again, typically, it is following the kind of route that it does, where you've got a low, you got a low, and then you got a lower low. We've got a very solid breakout line through here. I would have thought maybe this one continued last night. Obviously, one more little shake. If this pops and flips up here, I reckon we could probably be going, again, as I said, up probably another 1.5% at least. I mean, the price target is up over here, but as I said, I think that falling resistance might, offer a little bit of a sort of a stepping stone along the way. As long as it stays above 3150, it's still consolidating this break and ready to go for the next leg. USD China. Look, this was the move yesterday where they came out with that little Reuters thing, which hammered Aussie, got USD sort of all up and about. Technically, from a technical standpoint, where we are, just gave us a retest of the underside of this falling rising support. Oh, that's just to work out that sort of 2% band from their fixings. They're still putting very strong fixings. So despite the sort of, and this is the thing, is sort of like if they were planning to let it go, you'd see the fixings up here. And it would be okay, well, because remember the 2% band means that market can move it up like this. But because the fixings, at least as of yesterday, I haven't updated today's one, are still quite sort of strong one down here, that goes counterintuitive to what that headline was. And this is why the market didn't completely run away with it, because it's just talk at this stage. It's not confirmed. So let's see how they sort of go with that. But I think certainly the lows yesterday, again, look, it was coming down, rolled over, moving into this area. Oh, lo and behold, wow, we had a headline that sort of fired it back up. This is obviously the area here where the buyers are sitting. We already had this one marked out because we've seen it happen time and time again. 724. I think underneath this, then we can start to move down. Yes, we got some levels of support through these areas, but I think this big triangle wedge from this breakout area, which is more or less here. I mean, I guess maybe we could call this because it's the actual break. It kind of fired up into that one, that little zone. That's still the play down here. But of course, you need to see that little confirmation and sell back down here. Let's just go across, and we got copper. Copper grinding its way up over here. We can start to almost put in a little bit of a rising support through this area. Let's do from these lows. That's pretty good. That's a little, oh, wow. Gold just got hammered. We're having the same thing happen again, and gold's sort of going out to sort of five spot. Okay, I'm gonna have to pause this and see what's happening here. All right, back to it now. Gold again. Something's going on here. We just had 12:30 tick over, and it got smashed. We're talking $16 in 1 minute. Have a look at this. This is what you're dealing with here. This is why I jumped off the vid a second ago. Both. All this down 13, down to 99. Okay, $14 or whatever. The spread, the buy, sell, whatever, and that obviously sort of was a little bit different on the other one. But yeah, geez, wow, something's going on. I saw the spread went out to $5 again. I'm like, come on, what again? Jesus, what the hell is going on here? I did see some reported somebody saying, oh, somebody got out with a big position yesterday, and certainly somebody's selling a whack of this stuff here. And this is what I was saying just before. Is the market going to sort of say this is enough for them? this is it. You know what I mean? But this is as high as we're going to allow it to go. We saw the sell down and that sort of weird price action yesterday. And obviously, the subsequent move up higher. So are they just manipulating? Are they going for stops? Are they just going and hunting people down here and then they'll take it up higher? I think certainly if it takes out the highs, well, that sort of shows that kind of move. But if this continues to sell down, I think it's got bigger sort of problems. So it's a very tough one to sort of read at the moment. Let's pump on with copper. Copper's obviously loving things a little bit, still moving up higher here. That's helping out Aussie a little bit. Aussie's sort of about to sort of take out its news data highs. Obviously, we don't trade these things on 1 minutes, but it's good to sort of see how it's moving there. So look at copper, big smack yesterday from when that China stuff came out, but continues to grind higher. This is the thing, and this is what we're looking for. Still looking at 435 for the next sort of point of call. This is going to be quite a tough one to hit. And I would say, because we're so close to it, I would say it's going to be almost a bit of a magnet to get it up here. Because, as you can see, underneath this zone was very clear-cut moves. There wasn't really too much indecision or thinking going along. But because this was such a strong area through here, I imagine it's going to be quite a strong area in the top side here. What I sort of said a couple of weeks ago is this big triangle is really what we're sort of looking at. It held the bottom side here. It's moving up to the top. This would be an area where I'd expect it to start to see some selling and moving back down over here again. If you look at previously these larger triangles, this big massive one that we had breaking out here, it likes to take it very much to whatever the part of the triangle is there, not the vortex, whatever it is, the pinnacle, the last little tight part. So I would say it's going to make use of this as well. I would say you probably see a bit of a sell down through here. I am still of the belief that we are going to see things moving up and that, but you know, when these things sell down, they sell down hard. So you got to be careful of these things as well. But for now, it looks like it's made a nice little rising support. Bounced a bit off it last night, recovered, take out yesterday's highs. 435 is still the price target that we'll be looking at. All right, I think that's pretty much it through there. I think that's almost it for the data as well. We've got ECB tonight, 25 base point cut expected is going to sort of help sort of keep DXY a little bit elevated. See what happens with this gold market. That's certainly something that's very interesting, and I haven't seen stuff like this before. So yeah, I'll keep an eye on that one. That's it from me.